Hello, it's Matthew David Hurtado, the Minister of Allowing. It is February 17th, 2019 already. And I am with my daughter Leora Jean, and we are at the house. And it's my birthday today. I'm 42 years old. Can't imagine that. I can't imagine that I'm already 42. I was just 22 yesterday, and now I'm 42. It's amazing. Welcome, Bill and Randy. We're going to go through the Safe Touch tonight. Hello, Abel and Judy. Thank you, Bill. And we're going to go into it because particularly important is the fact that your faith does not work in an unforgiving heart. And faith is how we are commanded to live. And faith is the only substance that produces a miracle. So if we don't forgive constantly, and I have to do this all the time too, and it's a good technique to also use Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry, I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. And you're saying that to God, to the divine. You're saying that to your creator. You're sorry for any judgment that you've made regarding any circumstance that's happening in your life, because who are you to have authority to declare whether it is right or wrong? Because the only authority is God. And since God is all in all, the only power, presence, and mind, the only appropriate thing to ever do is to praise God in the face of anything. But our human instinct is to push against it. And you better believe I'm guilty too. We are all going to be tempted. So God gave me this download I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe even almost closer to 3 years ago, the Safe Touch method. And it has some key elements to it, and what it will do for you. And yeah, it will allow you to scale your level of what I call your repellent force. And that is the power that is taking away what you desire. It's what you're pushing away, because the full blessing of God is already poured out. So the scriptural understanding is that everything that you want is truly here right now. And we withhold it through our unforgiveness. I've taught this to people, and they've seen like their income shoot up rapidly, instantly. Payments come in that they weren't expecting, but they couldn't receive. And so this is really about receiving. Health problems that are stuck. When you start to forgive everyone and everything, then you are multiplying your capacity to use your faith. And that's the only way it can be done. So you got to remember that faith is what bridges you to the incorruptible, to the full blessing. Faith is what brings you into the full blessing, the kingdom of heaven that you never left. It brings the revelation of this truth, that this is the truth. And so we need to get out of the way. So the Safe Touch method is going to help you. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let me get this screen clicked up here. And as you know, I am Matthew David Hurtado, the Minister of Allowing. And there are many people out there that have built seven-figure businesses. That's not that big of a deal. But the big thing is that I did it when I had Lyme disease and I was on the couch recovering. And so the miracle of God is that because of my faith, because of stepping into the principles that I teach at my website and my books, I was able to do it when I should not have done it. According to the world, I didn't have anything to offer. And that's when God's opportunity is that during a time of man's crisis is God's opportunity to truly shine. And so I did that, and I manifested super well-being. And I say that because I can train twice a day like a professional athlete. And I was able to write books and do all the things that I love. And you should be able to do that too, because your life is supposed to be filled with joy in every moment. And so the number one culprit that is robbing most people on a day-to-day basis, because minds mingle and the environment conquers will. And so in the environment, through the data sphere, the programming, we have a constant bombardment of unforgiveness and guilt, especially in the old-time religious sects. And I'm talking about what religion means to bind, religar. They do it through fear and guilt. And anytime you experience shame through unforgiveness, you will repeat the action. That's a little principle of wisdom for you. So we want to release this daily, daily, daily forgiveness. Forgive daily, forgive often, and your blessing will be made manifest much sooner. So there are two things that are poison in your consciousness that are keeping you stuck in your circumstances. And there is a 1-minute process called Safe Touch, and it's going to help you break through to the next level and remove the thing that is keeping you stuck. You can apply this at will. It will erase the vibrational conflicts inside your etheric, astral, mental, and physical body, all of these discoveries of these bodies that we have. See, they come in through the crystalline structure, through the logos. That's how they're programmed automatically, is that logos program the crystalline body, and that is through the external kingdom. And so we're being programmed all the time. All right. And Dr. Clotaire Pai talks about how most Americans have a guilt consciousness. Guilt. They even have a guilty tax, GILTI. Don't believe me? Look it up. They put it right in plain sight, or you'll never believe it. So you can be an open canvas to receive the love from the universe, God's full blessing, and you can allow that love to solve, and thereby it'll dissolve your problems because you will shift consciousness. And this is the ability to transform your reality. Now, this goes without question, but do you want health and prosperity? Well, you should always consider that the thing that's holding it back is usually always an issue with unforgiveness and resentment. That's usually where everybody tends to be stuck at some level. It's not that we don't have the capacity to receive as much as the unconscious part of us that is obstructing it, that we're not willing to look at. And so this is going to cause you to look at it, to do something about it, and to experience the shift immediately so that you can remain an open conduit for God's love to pour through you, because whatever you plant as a seed through your action, through your daily activities, carries the vibration that you are in. And so if you are holding unforgiveness in your field throughout the day, you are planting seeds of that nature everywhere you go. And they are bound to come back in like kind. So in Proverbs 24:23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And so it's not true that hate is the opposite of love. Guilt is the opposite of love. You see, the enemy comes to rob, kill, and steal. The enemy wants to kill the word that's been planted in your heart, because if he can kill the word, he robs the joy and steals the love. All of that is gone. And guilt is what happens when someone is accusing you. And who is the accuser? Satan is the accuser. So we need to bind Satan. So guilt and unforgiveness are intertwined together. So you remove one and you remove the other. Guilt comes after the broken heart, and it brings condemnation. And condemnation is the act of condemning someone, including yourself, to a punishment or a sentence. You see, this is how Satan works. Satan comes to steal the word that's been planted in your heart and get you to condemn yourself. And you do that by harboring unforgiveness issues and resentment. Because what you wish upon others, you naturally wish upon yourself. So the safe touch, you can do this in 1 minute or less. It's safe because it introduces the power of touch back into your life, something that's been missing for quite a while in the digital age. It's a simple strategy that will erase unforgiveness and guilt. 5 simple steps. I recommend you do it twice a day for at least 7 days. The components that are involved are the eyes, the window to the soul, the hands. They conduct electrical impulses. There's chakras all throughout the hands. Hands-on healing. The intent flows through the bioelectric part of the body. And the heart, because out of the heart arise the issues of life. So what makes it all possible? Well, the intent, the touch, and the big component is the confession. So let's get into it and just make sure you have some time and some space. And I will teach you the safe touch right now, and we will do it together. And let's get clear of some guilt. So the first thing we have to do is we have to rate a SUD level, which is a subjective unit of distress, on 0 to 10 scale of how much guilt, shame, unforgiveness, resentment, how much poison is in your veins right now. Now, if you can't figure that out on a scale of 0 to 10, you have to use your intuition, by the way. You just have to kind of scale it. I muscle test, and I do it with my fingers, and I can just tell muscle testing. You can muscle test, or you can just know. How much resistance are you holding? Because your resistance is your unforgiveness. It is your shame, your guilt. That's your repellent force. 0 to 10, how much is it? Go ahead and rate it. Write it down if you need to, or remember it, where you're starting at. And so I want you to think now about anything you feel guilty about and start to bring those thoughts to the conscious awareness. Anything that you feel shame about, something maybe you did that you're not proud of, something that just you were a part of and it didn't go as well as planned, maybe something you let yourself down or someone else. Any of these thoughts, go ahead and tune into them right now. Now, we're going to use the eyes with an intention statement for 10 seconds. So I want you to look into maybe your cell phone or a pair of glasses or a mirror or someplace that you can look into your own eyes. Okay, we're going to do this part by ourselves. So we're not going to use a partner for this exercise because everyone's going to be watching this by themselves now. I want you to look in your own eyes and I want you to say the following. I intend to release any and all unforgiveness and guilt immediately right now. And I'm going to do this with you. I intend to release any and all unforgiveness and guilt immediately right now. Okay, now the next step is we're going to use our hands. So what I want you to do is just to grab your hands like you're going to clap your hands together and just hold them together. Hold your hands together or lace your fingers together or put them in the prayer position, like when they're just the namaste prayer position. And I want you to mentally forgive anyone that comes to mind and keep your hands held together for this. Now, here's the thing. If they come to mind, I want you to forgive them. I want you to say, I forgive you, or I want you to keep saying, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Keep repeating the Ho'oponopono. Whatever you choose to say, keep doing it for about 30 to 45 seconds for anyone and everyone, including yourself, that shows up in your mind's eye right now. Or someone that if you can't see it in your mind's eye, you feel their presence or you feel the remembering of the situation at hand or the person. I forgive you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm going to do this with you right now. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. Now I have them still coming up, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going until they stop coming up. I've got a lot of forgiveness to do. It's been probably about a week since I've done this. I'm negligent in my own training here. So I got to do this. I need to forgive. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. Okay, now it started to slow down. So I've done my forgiveness part. Now the next step is I want you to put your hands over your heart, just like you're holding your heart with both hands. Now we're going to do the confession. This is huge. Now for 30 seconds to a minute, I want you to say to any perceived wrongdoing that you feel you had a part in. Now the key word is perception. Again, there is no right or wrong. There is just our perception of it, which creates a judgment. We need to confess that we made this judgment and put it before God so we can surrender that, so we don't live under that judgment upon ourselves. So confession is the tool that removes the guilt instantly. So put your hands on your heart and just say, I confess within your own head or under your breath or out loud if you're safe, that I did this, or I perceived this, or I had a role to play in this. Whatever comes to mind, whatever you feel you need to confess before God, as in any judgment that was made of anything less than goodness itself, because God is all there is. So anything that falls short of God's love that you've been holding in your psyche, anything that falls short of God's love that you've been holding in thought or emotion, you're going to confess that you made that judgment, and you're going to confess to God. So do that for about 30 seconds to a minute, and I'm going to do it with you. So I confess, did this. I confess. I confess. Now, since I haven't done this for a week, I could be here for about a minute or two. And I think I'm going to keep going until I'm done, because I need this just as much as you guys do. I confess. You see, this is not a game. This is what you are commanded to do scripturally. That's why this process is so sacred to me, because it gives you a tool set to efficiently handle this on a daily basis and remain in the covenant with God. Okay, so the confession part is done for me. Now, we are going to go to the final step here, which is the acceptance and surrender part. So I like to put one hand on each opposite shoulder and give myself a hug. And I suggest you do the same. And just go ahead and just rub your arms and your shoulders with the opposite hand, crossing your chest, and say, I love, accept, and forgive myself, and I release all of this to the divine or to God now. See, you have to let this go. It is not your burden to carry. You've already asked for forgiveness and received it. You've repented, and you've already done your part. Now let it go. Now, the final step is I want you to go ahead and rate your scale from 0 to 10 from when you started. It's important that you rate it before you start, and it's important that you rate it when you're done. So for me, I was actually at a 9 when I started. Now, I have to make a confession to you guys. All right, I'm a minister. I know I teach these things, but because I still am tempted by the 5 senses, human erring consciousness comes into play, and I let this go a week without doing this. And I was hovering at a 9. Now, that frequency of guilt and shame and vibration of resentment and all of those things goes into every seed that I plant. And that is not a good idea, my friends, because that is what pushes away the blessing you push it away. I'm at a 1 now. So I went from a 9 to a 1. Now, if you've had improvement, go ahead and put it up on the board and tell me where you're at. And tell me how much improved, if any. And I suggest you do it again twice a day. Keep yourself between a 0 and a 2. Now, I'm usually pretty good at this. I usually keep myself at a 2 or below. And here's why it's important. Let's say you scale your vibration up to going like I'm doing an 8 out of 10, like power, like I'm powerful. We teach the self-entrainment technique at the workshop. So I show you how to scale up your vibration and literally step into a parallel version of yourself, because every vibrational frequency is a different signature universe. It's a completely different reality, just like radio stations changing the dial. There's no difference. You're emitting a frequency. That frequency is bringing upon itself its own kind. So if you power up and you're at an 8, 10, whatever, but you have guilt lingering around, you have to subtract the guilt. So if you're at an 8 and you had a 9 guilt, you're at a -1. Life isn't going to go so good for you, which I'm talking to myself now, at a -1. So I spent several days, well, it probably wasn't that bad up until maybe, I don't know, 48 hours ago. And that's the thing. This is all unnecessary. We let it go and we go right back into shifting into our peace. And once we're back into the peace, we're back in the blessing. And then we can begin to keep praising God. We can keep sending out love. See, the whole point of your life period is to be the perfect man, the perfect manifest of the perfect Father, to come into alignment with the Father's will. And the Father's will is always more peace, love, joy. All of the fruits of the Spirit is the expression of the Father's will. And so when you get this poison out of your life on a daily basis with this habit, your life gets better and better and better and better, because it's what you do consistently over time that creates the major epic changes in your life. It's your daily structure, your daily habits that create your destiny. And so this daily habit, as simple as it seems, is the most powerful, most elegant, most important ritual that you can possibly do in such a short time, like 30 seconds to 2 minutes max. I mean, imagine this. Imagine that you go through life harboring guilt, shame, and all of these issues. And you're like most people. Most people are a 5 or above all the time. We have a guilt matrix. It is a data sphere that programs you through the logos, through the crystalline structure, as being guilty. All the way to the guilty text, where they just put it right out in the open, right in front of you. Because if you feel guilt, Satan can bind you, and Satan will bind you, because Satan will get you to condemn yourself. Self-condemnation is completely unnecessary. It is wickedness, and you can drop it all in seconds. So use this process and you will prosper. And the more you do it, the more easy it becomes, the more efficient, the more effective, and you'll have a habit that will bring a lot more fruit into your life. So for tonight, I am going to leave you with this simple transmission so you can watch this again. You can do it again if you want to do this. No extra fluff, no extra material. I'm pushing back the transmission that I was going to do tonight next week. Again, it's my birthday, so I'm going to make it short. I got to spend some time with my daughter. She's been waiting a long time for me to get finished for the day. And I want to do, it's going to be, Wednesday. We're going to do the 7 steps to getting anything you want in life with the PRS protocol. And the PRS protocol that's coming up Wednesday is something that God just gave me. It's very, very powerful. And the PRS stands for Problem, Reaction, Solution. Now, you know that the universe is twinning, and everything that is, of the light also has a shadow, a dark side, has a dark, like, counterfeit version of it. For instance, we have trust with God, and then we have a trust in commerce, and commerce is war, and all of the monetary system on the earth plane is fiction, and that's just the way it is. That's the universe. It twins. So we have problem, reaction, solution, and we have that. If you listen to David Icke, and you listen to people who discern this, that they're, like anything that they call like a false flag, they create problem, reaction, solution. It's to create an id in the mass consciousness, and then the mass consciousness fractures, and then it creates a demand for a solution. And that's how you bring in things that are not of the light. But also in the light, there's also problem, reaction, solution, and it happens to be very positive. And so God showed me this. And so I'm going to bring this to you guys, because this is actually how you can scale yourself and align yourself with the vibration and getting what you want to manifest very, very rapidly through osmosis, through the mingling of the minds, through adopting the consciousness of someone and basically hacking their frequency, so you can just hack right into their vibrational set point and bring it into your life. It's not rocket science. It's more like quantum physics 101. So I will talk to you guys about that on Wednesday night. That's a new thing. You've never seen that before. And praise God, glory to God, love God. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus is Lord. And I'm proud to say that. Love you guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And that's it for tonight.